Hi guys, Chantal here from Grounded Mind. How are you doing today? Today's title or topic is thoughts aren't delaying your healing, the way you're reacting to them is. So this is all about how are we processing, how are we analysing? And I've actually got a few notes a few points because I want to make sure that every point that you need to hear is covered, and it's important for me to get this across in this in this video today. So our thoughts are the product of a desensitized brain, and we need to make sure that we aren't predicting the worst. The reason why we're predicting the worst is because we're telling ourselves continuously that something bad is going to happen, it's not going to get better. And we've got into this motion of a natural way of ruminating about things, and those thoughts can be real, and those thoughts can be fake. They can create that fear, that rumination. And sometimes when you think of, and this isn't with all situations, but sometimes when you look at some situations in life, because I've had to do this for myself, is look at what's the worst that can happen. And even though one might argue, well, the worst that could happen is this really bad thing. I don't know, I could lose my job, or I could lose my house, I could lose whatever the worst case scenario is. That is the worst case scenario, and the likeliness of that worst case scenario is very minimal, probably zero. And even in those worst case scenarios, the worst case scenario in some of them isn't as bad as life can get, if that makes sense. And this isn't me discrediting anyone's feelings or emotions or anyone's life, because I don't know what everyone's going through in their personal lives and journeys. So it would be incorrect of me to say that there isn't, there's no reality or there's no reason for you to think the way that you do, because at the end of the day, life is hard, and sometimes when you are in a state, you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and everyone's feelings and emotions are true to them, and they are absolutely valid. So I just want to put that out there. But when we look at fear itself and how that transpires from a single thought, which isn't reality, it's just a fear and it's a rumination of a thought, that there is what I know a lot of my clients and people out there have worked on and need to work on, because the fear is what strengthens the danger neurons in our brains, and it kind of hinders the healing, because you can't create safety through fear. You cannot create safety through fear. It's impossible for your brain to think you're safe if you're in a state of fear. So then that means that all the tools and all the things that you have that you want to try and put into place, if you're constantly in a place of being scared, it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna happen. Your brain isn't gonna believe you. So it's a difficult one, because I know that a natural state of mind, especially in this world that we live in, is to be able to express yourself and is to think. And you're not really taught as a child at school not to ruminate and think about things, because that's building you up into the adult you're going to become. And it's a shame that children aren't told that in a child friendly way. But the processes and the continuous patterns of things that we tell ourselves, it can get to a point where it's so difficult to reverse it, but you can. And that is the good thing about how our brains are and how we are as human beings, that we can actually change the way that we think with a conscious effort and a conscious willingness and wanting to and repetitiveness and being strong and courageous in who we are as people. So we need to teach our brains that that the fear is false evidence appearing real. And I say this all the time, the problem isn't the thought itself, it's the engagement, it's the attention that we give the thought, it's the analysing of the thought, and it's the Googling and spiralling and checking symptoms and arguing with it, and all of that there is like just feeding that thought so much food and gasoline, and it's just like food and gasoline. It's blowing it up into the fear almost then becomes a reality because we're giving it all of that energy. And what we need to do is try to create the clarity in these situations. And you'll hear me speak about this. I've got multiple videos on it, and I've got it here again as a note. Acceptance and agreement, it's so huge. If I don't fight the thoughts, it means it's true. But no, acceptance means I can let this thought be here without solving it. That's the beauty of it. I can let it be. I can tell it what it is. It's a thought. I can give it its platform of being a thought, and not giving it the energy of thinking about what that thought is. The thought can go on an actual box in your head, and you can have a look at it for what it is. You can put it into a box called It's Just a Thought box, and picture yourself doing that. I speak to my clients about this, and it's important for us to detach ourselves from that thought. And even when there's loads of different methods of detachment against thoughts. You can sit where you are and see different thoughts coming into your head, and just watch them without actually going into them and opening the box to what they mean, and being fearful of them. You can actually, like you're watching, I don't know, you're watching water boil or watching bubbles in the bath. You can watch your thoughts like that. Just watch them for what they are, but don't believe them. Don't go into a spiral. Don't start Googling. Just see them for what they are. You can detach yourself. You can detach yourself from what's happening without actually doing this. And then you're thinking about it and exploring it and wanting to know more. Detach yourself from that thought. And then you can teach yourself cognitive diffusion, which is more or less what I've just said. And instead of saying I'm never going to heal, you shift to I'm noticing the thought that I'm never going to heal. See that shift? You're not saying this is going to get bad tomorrow. You're saying I think something is trying to tell me that this is going to be bad tomorrow, but I'm going to be okay. It's that shift. You're not believing it. You're looking at it for what it is. You're seeing it differently. You're recognizing it differently. And you're not telling your brain something's wrong. You're saying to your brain, I can see that, I'm thinking that this thought is trying to say to me that something's wrong, but I'm okay. So you're shifting that kind of connection to the negative spiraling about the thought, and you're putting it in its place, and you're giving it kind of grounds to be a thought only, and you're not ruminating, and then you're creating clarity. And all these little things, and I know it's a lot of information to take in, but they are telling your brain that you are safe. It's always good to link back to healing, linking, and this is the clarity, this is the safety, and when you're having a thought but you're feeling okay, you're having kind of a day or a moment where your symptoms aren't even bothering you, but the thought there is what brings it on. You can say, thought, I know what you're trying to bring to me, but actually I'm okay today. I'm okay right now. I feel really good. I'm not dizzy at the moment. I'm not feeling spaced out. I haven't got brain fog. And if I do have brain fog, it's gonna be fine. And if I do feel dizzy, it's gonna be fine. And if I do have tinnitus, it's gonna be fine. And if I do feel unbalanced, it's gonna be fine. You're kind of like telling your brain and telling the fear that's trying to come into your head that you're okay. And it sounds silly and simple. It does sound silly. If I never knew about mind body and I was listening to me, I'm thinking, what is she talking about? But this is how our brain learns. Think of the difference in when you attach yourself to a thought and you ruminate and you Google and you get upset and worried and scared. That is such a different approach to recognizing the thought and talking to it. Even like me explaining that, it's a different approach. So if it's a different approach just talking about it, imagine the different kind of connections and language and that you're sending to you, and signals that you're sending to your brain. It's different. So you've got one which is safety and one which is fear, one which strengthens fear neurons and one that creates and strengthens safety neurons. So therefore, it's important for us to take a different approach. So yes, you can learn, you can teach your brain how to be fearful, and you can teach your brain to be fearful and send protection. So you can send protective alarms to different parts of our bodies, which is the chronic illnesses that we get, or we can send safety, which is reducing symptoms, which is telling our brain to turn off the protective ways that it has. You're saying, brain, I'm safe, it's okay, and your brain's like, oh, okay, you don't need protecting. I'm not going to send these signals to different parts of your body because actually I don't need to, because the response to life is different to how it usually is. That's how healing happens. So I know I've covered this quite a lot, and I know it's a lot, and it's a lot that I've said today, but I just want to try to help people that have chronic negative thoughts, that are thinking negatively all the time, the impact that that type of thinking has on your healing. And I'm not trying to belittle how you feel and say that, you know, you don't need to feel like that. I get it, and I get it because I've been there, so I know exactly how it feels when you're stuck in a spiral of negative thoughts. But what I do want to say is that you have got this, and I really do hope that this helps today. I hope that this video helps today, and if you need any further guidance, you know where I am, and I am here to help you. Please like and share and subscribe to my channel, and have a lovely day. Take care. Bye bye.